Well, greetings everybody, and welcome once again to a brand new edition of MBTV News. This is a program where we look at all the latest happenings in virtual worlds and immersive spaces online. That's the easiest way to put it, without falling back into use of M words and other four-letter words. Actually, except M's only one. Well, never mind. So anyway, we bring you highlights there and a little bit about the haptics when they're relevant. So my name is Mal Burns, and I'm joined here by my colleague James Atloud. Welcome, James. Well, this is being said. This is being said. I think I might be related to that Doctor Who bloke. It might have been that. Basically, rather than have a
Oh
heart
bother.
attack and all my hair was going to go grey, I thought, well, I'll just dye it blonde instead.
Yep.
So it's gone grey because it has, and then I've dyed it blonde. So I've now got blonde hair, and you can't really see much of it because I've got my hat on, and my hat hasn't changed. It's the same old good old safari hat,
It's a good
uh,
safari hat.
hyper safari hat. My jacket is now. Yeah, I've got a sort of undershirt on there that doesn't match that actually, but it's it's clear. It's a dual color sort of thing. But no, the big difference I think you'll notice is that my mask is gone, despite the fact that COVID is on the rise again. I've taken a gamble, and I'm going to treat you to a bit of lip flapping until COVID comes back.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that good to me?
It
Now,
is great.
if I go and catch a virus, you will know that it wasn't such a good idea. But for the moment, we will see what we will see. So yes, there is a slight difference here.
Yeah, and I
You
have to
might as well.
apologize, Mal. I was muted when I said that first comment, so I was asking Mal about his appearance today.
Oh, well, I couldn't tell because
No, I
we're
was
on the
yeah, I was
our audio feed is
right,
separate.
right.
Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
just too many
Right.
buttons.
Too many buttons. I know that feeling. Right. Most of the links this week, I'm just going to load in. I'll read a few, tell you what they are, summarize them, and have a look at some of the video posts from the week at the end. We haven't really got any. We've got some extra things, but they're a bit cumbersome for running today. So we'll see how we go with the links before we do anything else. And to do that, I've got to find them. There we are. Right. Okay. Now these are starting. They're in a bit of a jumbled order this week, and don't even ask me why,
Hmm.
because I don't know. But technically, we were going backwards. No, from the beginning of the week forwards. But as you can see, it's not all. Oh well, it's 5 days ago here anyway. This site, sorry, this World Youthiverse, as you can see on there, has been around for a long while. I suppose in a way they are a major platform. They used to, shall we say, be on the more risque side of things. They certainly weren't a sort of IMVU for kids. But they're launching a new fourth generation attempt of. It's basically a fourth generation Etherverse, and of course they couldn't resist using the word metaverse, as you can see here, to tell us about it. Now, this actual news comes from virtualrealitytimes.com. That's virtualrealitytimes.com. Virtual reality times all squashed together basically, and we don't get many links from them these days, but we've got this one, so there you go. And well, what more can I say really? You may be familiar with Etherverse, you may not. However, they're talking about a Web3 variant of Etherverse, which means that Etherverse was a bit like yeah, in some ways, it's very similar to Second Life. You had a standalone client to go into it with, and it wasn't so creative; it was more functional, but it had that look to it. Whereas this new generation one will actually be Web3 as well, a Web3 variant. So presumably, you'll have a choice of using the main platform or actually going to it on the web as a sort of XR, as I would call it. So we'll have to see when it happens. They've got an obligatory Discord channel now, called The Uthers, and you you can get on a whitelist and whatever by signing up there as well. What else do we have here? Yeah, Isverse again. They had a virtual con um, last year, and they have it. Well, actually, every year they have one, and they've got another one coming up this year, as you can see there. Let's just see if we have time here. I don't think it's long. No, it's 44 seconds, so we'll hear about it now. It does seem to be taking a while to load, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it doesn't seem happy.
Okay, well, we'll maybe show that another time because I'm not going to hang around. Uh, we'll keep it for another day. Okay, so that's a way off anyway. It's not until November, but it's interesting. This is really the season of conferences. OS Fest is going on at OpenSim at the moment. Hypergrid International Expo will be happening in October on Open Simulator 2. And this will be in November. And then in December, you've got another Open Simulator conference. I presume it's usually in September. Okay, James can probably confirm it will be September. I don't know what date yet.
It seems likely. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on anyway, Virtuality Times is where you want to go to find that little piece of whatever. And remove it to make space for the next one. And a load of usual ones here from xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com. Introducing XR trends and updates 23, the real face of the virtual world, bit of sort of editorial and sort of updates, announcements. Bit technical there, but anyway, you'll find it easy enough at XR Today. But also at the same site, we had this interesting thing. Um, I can't believe anybody who watches this show does not know the difference, but and you never know. So this, I think, was a rather educational little article from XR Today again, just AR and VR headsets. What's the difference between AR and VR? Well, they don't care, but they are anxious to tell you the difference between a headset and smart glasses. What's the difference, they say? Well, they haven't included my favorite category, which is the helmet. There you go. There's helmets and there's headsets and there's glasses in that order. Anyway, I'm sure most of you out there do know the difference and probably don't want to follow up this. But on the other hand, you may know somebody who's less than on the ball who might want to read that. Okay, moving down. arvrpolicy.org. Yes,
Oh.
this is an advert really for a policy conference. It's on September. Oh, it was. Sorry. Right. This side posted on my feed, hoping it would get to Twitter and then would be able to tell everybody what was going on. This has actually happened now, anyway. And okay, I wonder. There may be.
Development
Yes,
as
indeed. Okay,
trees.
well, I'm not going to play that long, but it looks like they've got a good old recording a bit there. So for now, I will. I'm going to tag it, and we'll see what time we've got for it. Not today, but next week probably. Right, moving down. Educators in VR. They have a welcome to 2023 and 2024. This is a post from their own site, educatorsinvr.com. So educatorsinvr.com. And Laurie Van Fossen is very active sort of leader in this sort of area. And this again was an invite for earlier in the week for September the 12th for celebration kicking off their new year. But it's worthy of note here because it does tell you what they're doing and what is coming up in their actual new year, including events for cyberbullying month. The fifth annual cyberbullying month coming up at the end of this month. One of these really unfortunate sort of headlines said, "Come celebrate cyberbullying month with us." That didn't quite get the same message that I think it was trying to convey, but never
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. You find us educatorsinvr.com for this one. Moving on down, we're back on XR today again. I did say there's always a load from them. From virtual to vitals. That's a nice got ring to it.
Mm-hmm.
Good headline writer they've got, obviously. The future of patient-centric healthcare is XR. XR again being extended reality, mostly deliver everything via the web or the internet. This is back on the health track, really. And once again, praising Lenovo, who I've always, I've got a wonderful monitor with Windows on it, which is called Think Vision by Lenovo. And it's 10 years old, but it's touchscreen, it's 4K, it was a treat. And, you know, I don't really care what new ones they brought out. I mean, the only thing is the built-in Android's a bit out of date and won't update, but they're a good company, Lenovo, I think. So Think Reality is like Think Vision monitors and everything. Their solutions are rising to the challenge. How dramatic. Anyway, if you're interested in health and XR or WebXR or XR generally, this is a useful article to read. So xrtoday.com again. Now, I didn't, a quick little break here for the rabbit hole bit. I didn't mention at the beginning of the show, well, I didn't mention the date, which is the 17th. So these are our highlights for the week gone by the way, sort of. One exception to that will come up in a minute, no doubt. However, what I didn't say is that I'm not really deliberately pushing my Twitter feed anymore, but it is there. If you go to twitter.com or x.com or whatever it is, but if you go to twitter.com, the executor will put you in the right place. So you can still use the name Twitter and it forwards twitter.com/Mal Burns. That is where you'll find links to all these things I'm reading out and more besides. And they are forwarded, of course, from Mastodon. I've got 3 different accounts of Mastodon that do these. The reason I just think to mention it just now is that if you do follow that, or can follow it, I think is more important these days, you'll find that the links there do take you to the exact pages that I'm showing you on screen here. Whereas the URLs that I'm reading out for you will, I'm afraid, more often than not, just land you on a home page. But, you know, that's life. I can't read out every URL with, you know, 100-word string on it. Okay, so moving down to the actual news again. This next one is a site called Polygon.com. I think this is more of a gamer thing. And this actually is the biggest news of the week. I was actually going to try and get somebody to come along to talk about this, but then I realised we'd be squeezing it to have to interview somebody like I was thinking of somebody at a virtual world who uses Unity quite a lot, and he's really leading a charge on screaming blue murder at Unity on this. Adam Frisbee, in case any of you wanted to know us. Anyway, game devs say Unity's big change puts studios at risk, and it will eat up a massive amount of revenue. Now, from what I gathered from Adam's comments in the science-based thing, is it may not quite be as bad as they think, but they keep thinking there's going to be more optimistic news about it, and then they don't get it. I think really it's going to be the big installations that are going to be hit by this. As it stands, it sounds like anybody who ever opens a Unity app, whether it's a consumer app made with Unity or whatever, will have a charge levied on them. Presumably via the app itself, because Unity can't charge every single user on the web individually. But it's going to affect the whole cash flow thing. And Unity has always been renowned as the be-all, end-all sort of place to go for authoring. I mean, apart from the Unreal Engine, which is still largely free. It's a major thing, you know. It's like imagine, you know, you've got game engines, for example. Imagine 90% of the game engines are built using Unity, and only the other 10 use something else. So when the game engine that has built 90% of the world's out there is going to start levying charges at the end user too, you begin to think, oops, you know, how has it come to this? Anyway, they say they can't survive without the money. So this is going to be going on and on. Um, this article, as I said, is at Polygon, Polygon, which are pretty on the ball with this stuff. If you go here and read it, you'll also find, of course, that there's various links here, and it gives you a sort of explanation, tells you what Unity is being used for, or, well, just a couple of examples kind of thing. And uh, this quote was very good. There's no way Unity talked to a single developer before launching this, and developing in Unity is now a straight up financial risk for people who subscribe to worlds, charity bundles, piracy, being I'm not sure what that's all about. Malicious installs and giveaways, but everything basically. They've just
Yeah, and game demos. Yeah, so much.
yeah, exactly. So this is seriously bad news, and thank God our favourite virtual worlds are made of prims and not Unity mesh. Is all I can say.
Some, yeah,
You can still have prims for free, not in Unity though.
yeah. Now
Paper
you know
trail,
your favorite helmet has a lot that's built in Unity.
of course, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believe quite a lot of this four-letter word company
Yep,
has also
yep, yep,
stuff in Unity.
yep.
I'm sure they can pay up, but whether they'll be willing to on a basic per install basis, I don't know. If you download a game and it's built in Unity, whoever basically has made the game will have to pay an individual fee to Unity every time for your individual install. So come on, this is not. Um, uh, as I said, the biggest news of the week. I'm really a bit dumbfounded. It's halfway down my list, but I'm a bit dumbfounded. There's little I could actually say. I've been thinking for about the last 5 days. Should I get hold of Adam and persuade him to get have an early breakfast and join me on the news? But we're pushed for time here, so I didn't think that was worth it. Although at some future point, it would be nice to actually bring some interviewees in,
Sure,
say,
sure.
pre-recorded chats on this show or something. Anyway, moving on down because we don't have much time, and going to the place where we very often start, and it actually even has a sound effect to go with it, doesn't it? Well, two sound effects to go with it. Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now this is. That was where I warbled like Jimmy Savile, but enough of that one. Right. Scarghost.com, of course, is it's his XR Wheat Peak and the Quest 3 for the Elite, new rumours on Valve and more. He was a couple of days. He's a couple of years out on that one, isn't he? The date there is completely wrong, but the actual date was actually a couple of days into the week this week. He says he's a bit dizzy because of something or other, but how he went back in time to November the 1st, 2022, I don't know. But this is actually the genuine 12th of September 23 edition, despite what it says on the cover. Right. Anyway, he looks at various things. Meta's Quest 3, of course, and they've always got something to talk about. It's just a way of keeping the meta world in the news, isn't it? And sort of. I pity the people who take offence at four-letter words. Can't get rid of them, can you?
Wait, who are those
Right.
people?
I don't know. My parents probably. Right. when they're around, but they're not around to take offence anymore. So never mind
Right,
that one.
right.
Okay, HoloLens and Microsoft and posers like that. Those are more smart glasses. These are the X-Real version 2 we mentioned last week anyway. But always a good roundup of the week. You get the previous week here. So go to skaredghost.com. And obviously tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, depending, I suppose, there will be an updated edition for you to read. So quite possibly tomorrow or Tuesday, it's normal time of update. Righto. Right, this is a bit of a plug here. This is Event Bright, the site for booking things. OMI, Metaverse group. They've got a subgroup called Meta Traversal, and they're doing their 10th Meta Traversal portal crawl. if you can imagine this is a bit like Hypergrid Safari on OpenSim, where except that you're going to lots of different platforms, and most of them are WebXR because that's the only way it's sort of manageable to jump, you know, all over the place. Anyway, there've been quite a few already by invitation. I've been on a couple, and this is the first that's open to the public. So um, they begin on Zoom and use onboarding links to be provided via the Eventbrite sign up, which is where we are now. A little roundup of where they're going, basically some browser, some in browser, some in VR, and yeah. Um, didn't they put the dates here? Okay, I'm just going to flip back to what we call the website view. Oh, that's reader appearance. Come on. Exit reader view. There we are. Okay, this is Point Cloud Productions. Date and time September 28th, 8 to 9 p.m. You notice that is British time, by the way, BST. So that will be daytime, about lunchtime in Pacific time, I guess. And yeah, tells you about it there. Um, yeah, well, there's your date, and it will cost you nothing, but you do need to click get tickets, you know, to basically to get into and invite into the Zoom call where it all starts. I suspect there'll be other more informal ways of popping in via Discord or something, but we'll see. Anyway, as I said, a bit of a plug there, but they're good people doing some rather interesting stuff there. So meta traversal, portal crawl. And meta traversal is actually separate from OMI. I mean, but a lot of people like Evo, Henning, and stuff are very much leaders in this particular area. It's like the subgroup that is less, whereas the whole thing is concerned with interoperability. This is more of a subgroup that is interested in the ability to jump from platform to platform. So sort of jumping. Meta traversal, as in traversing
It's in the name, yeah.
Yes, I know. Well, yeah. I think they invented it before Zuckerberg was invented himself, but never mind. Right, moving on. Right to an actual blah blah. A Steam add-on. Steam is, as you may or may not know, a way of actually going to VR worlds and things like that, and games and whatever, via the web. Basically, it launches your apps for you via Steam, and it makes them easier to play than if you download the whole hog onto your own machine. Although that said, you can buy stuff off Steam that does download, so I don't really know quite how it works, but it's very popular. And I just joked when I saw this one actually. Apparently, it is now a real thing to go sleeping in VR.
No, that's
Definitely a
been
big.
around, yeah.
Yeah, well, I used to make a joke in early days of Second Life. You know, I
Yeah.
would actually log out, but before I logged out, I would sort of close the door on a bed somewhere and then make the announcement that I'm sort of down. No, what was it? Defragging the organics or something was my
Oh,
phrase.
right.
Just being silly as usual. Anyway, there's plenty of sleep worlds in VR chat apparently, and you see avatars snoozing away whilst curled up on the virtual couch. The one thing that I would, well, in Second Life there were lots of things called camping where you could pole dance or skate or something, and you would be paid pittances, you know, per hour for doing that. But a lot of people that earn a few pennies in world that they got for free, you know, would do that, including me, at one point. And it meant that you were able to usefully do something while you were sorting out your inventory and stuff like that. You would have to be online to do your inventory, so you might as well earn a few coppers, you know, fiddling around in the background. Anyway, this is an add-on in Steam, and it's an overlay that looks to make it easier for people sleeping in VR to catch their 40 wings. I'm not. If you're really interested in this, do follow the link. It's roadtovr.com, of course, roadtovr.com, and Scott Hayden will tell you all about it. Not that he's really got much to say about it, but there we go. Moving on to arinsider.co, arinsider.co. No com, just co. This is a Charlie Fink
Hmm.
article,
Yep.
and asking whether Shapes XR can reshape XR development. Basically, it's a bit of a review looking at a product called Shapes XR, which is not new. Oh, it tells it here, 2021, November
Hmm.
it was launched. But it's a kind of review asking whether it's it can actually help with development. Uh, Maybe an endorsement from Lord Zuckerberg is not the best thing to get people interested, but who knows? Anyway, a long, well, fairly long article there to read. Uploadvr.com. Now, this is the site that, of course, brings us Download VR, the program. David Heaney from there has done a review. This is the second time they've published a post which stretches
Oh,
the image at the front top of the page.
egad. Wow.
This is a nightmare to scroll down. It is just daft, daft, daft. But if you get to the bottom, as we will eventually, here we are. Meta avatars in Horizon Worlds now have virtual legs. And yeah, um, interestingly, I think James would know this. You don't really get to use them. I mean, at least you just see them. But I mean, obviously, there are no helmets yet with leg tracking. In fact, if there was leg tracking, it wouldn't be in the helmet, would it? It'd be in your shoes or something. Um, Maybe it will happen. I don't know. But the aesthetic at least makes me reasonably happy. I mean, that is far more presentable than the ones they had before. That's David Heaney, of course, is on the show. James is very
Yep.
familiar with it.
And
I'm
Kyle's on
sure.
the right. Yep.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So anyway, you still don't see the legs on the TV program, but you do at least see the legs in this article. So there you are. There you are. So legs had already arrived on the Quest home space and blah blah blah. They aren't actually available everywhere. Um, and for example, we don't really know whether he's got legs or not, do we? um, is he going places? Maybe not. Moving on before I put my foot in it again. XR today, yet again. It's popular this week. This is actually their news roundup from Boeing, Engage XR, Apple, Meta, etc., etc. A fair old bit of stuff here. Um, what can I say? Enough to scroll down and read through. Nothing. Okay, they noticed this article. I haven't got a separate article on this. Apple bringing spatial computing to iOS. The next iOS update, which comes in about a week's time with the new iPhone, and it is only on the new iPhone, has got a rather nifty camera, which actually allows you to film in 3D in such a way that you anything you do will be able to people will be able to see it using Vision OS. How many people will have Vision OS? If you send them your iPhone, clip, I don't know, but anyway, it's the first of the productivity applications for Vision Pro specifically, and although of course the authoring is done on the iPhone. Anyway, so that got mentioned a bit this week. Okay, moving down. There's still a bit to go by the look of it. Um, It's on it. Ah, here we are. Okay, I've got the main page somewhere, but there was one single episode of Voices of VR this
Hmm.
week, instead of the usual 500 per week. This one is about indie immersive narratives that fibers the fragility of XR creation, distribution, and open source ecosystems. Um, Always a good listen, whatever the subject, really, but you do need a bit of time because he produces so many of those things. Okay, this week in XR, this is Charlie Think's other thing at Forbes. I saw a TV program during the week about the Mexicans have apparently unearthed some real aliens, and they're excavated. Yes, I can hear James coughing. I don't want to cough, or I won't stop. But yeah, Mexico City, one of two non-human beings, and they've done DNA tests, and they are not don't have any human DNA. They don't say whether they have any DNA at all, actually. Desiccated three-fingered creatures dramatically unveiled by a self-proclaimed UFO expert. And anyway, Charlie Finker's caught the bug.
Oh,
Yeah,
Charlie,
alien
Charlie,
bug.
Charlie, Charlie.
And, yeah, and as you see the pictures, they actually do resemble ET, and some people say just a little too much.
I think my grandchildren could carve a better looking alien than that.
Yeah, yeah, I don't. But it's covered in mainstream news. I mean, it
Ugh,
was sort of it wasn't April Fools, and a lot of people weren't sort of thinking. I think it's just a big hoax. But
yeah.
anyway, yeah, Charlie has veered off the subject of virtual worlds a little bit there, but
Yep.
he does come back. He does come back down a bit later in here. um, um, Investments, etc. All those behind the news sort of stuff that really can be a bit boring. But this is where to read it. Charlie is very good at putting all this stuff together for you. And yes, stereoscopic capture. That's the iPhone thing I was thinking of. So in other words, you can film your mate not only in 3D, sort of panorama, but the lens can detect behind the head too, even though it works it out rather than you don't get the subject to turn. They works it out for well, never mind. It's all magic, It's obviously says. So advanced it's magic. I don't understand it. I'm giving up on half of this stuff. how can you how can you film the back of a head? Come on. But I've got something coming up for you in a minute, which is actually a point in question. Right, okay, and advertising their own podcast, of course. So you'll find this at Forbes.com, Forbes.com. In the last couple of days, you can sometimes find it reprinted at Excel Today, I think it is, or one of the other sites, because the Forbes will often not let you in because of their firewall. Moving down, another site we haven't had so much recently. This is my last post. In fact, this is just what I was coming to.
Mm.
Um, and this is a site called organics.org, AUGANIX.org. And a company called Omnipresence have launched a digital avatar creation app. Now, I actually downloaded this morning, and I must say it did a pretty good job. But I was just mentioning a certain back of the head phenomenon. And what I have to say is that it did give me a photographic scan, but it did the sides and the front, but the scan didn't ask you for the back of your head. And so it's not blank, it's just a vaguely formed skullish sort of shape. So I can't actually see using it as a full avatar because anybody walking behind you would just see this thing that looked like it walked off the operating table. However, that isn't their intention yet. They are saying you will be able to export these avatars eventually to various worlds and things. And possibly so. They'll have to improve the back of the head thing first. But as far as and also the one they made for me, I've got it and it's saved and I've registered with it and everything, but I can't use it in a video conference or anything. So at the moment, it's just like a gadget on the iPhone to make a photorealistic 3D model. But they do promise it's going to become compatible and you're going to be exported places. So even if you could actually use it as an alternative to a webcam, that would be helpful for some, I'm sure, as long as the lips move. Ha ha. Yes, I'm now insisting lips move. Wonder why. Bloody hypocrite, they all say out there. Right, okay. Well, I can contend with still lips as long as I've got legs. Put it that way. Right. Okay. Full compatibility with 3D engines such as Unity and the Unreal Engine will be coming our way. Although whether or not you'll be able to get it at Unity without paying a fortune, I don't know. It's just that Unity news has so many implications for all sorts of other things. But anyway, I will testify that I tried this. and the results are pretty much the same as you see in that illustration there. And the other thing, just anecdotally, is it having seen the results, I actually went back to Ready Player Me to create a new avatar there to see what would happen, and I was actually very disappointed. Apart from the choice of costumes they give you, being nothing halfway decent like leathers or something, um, but the photographic lightness at Ready Player Me, well, they've never done photo lightness, but they've captured a lot of, there's a sort of cartoony face, as it were, that I always just identified with myself. It was close enough to me to make me think, hey, that's me. Um, they seem to have lost that ability. I mean, they did scan my face and everything else like that, but I couldn't really see the likeness anymore. So go figure. Swings and roundabouts here, really. Okay, so that's the last of my actuals, so to speak. I'm just going to okay, first of all, I'm going to go to my newsfeed. This is my feed at mastodon.com, or rather, it's the MetaWorld feed at Mastodon. There's a Mal Burns feed too, which is, let me see, is this it? Hang on.
Is that at Macedon or Vivaldi?
Well, they're all Mastodon in a way. No, this is actually Flipboard. I've got too many of these darn things. Mal Burns Vivaldi is the one we got here, and yeah, this is the other place that I now post the links I've just been showing you, and many others besides. So, if you follow Mal Burns Vivaldi, I haven't got the shortcut handy, unfortunately. I should have
I put it on the lower third, Mal.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this is probably the ideal place to follow me. Any Fediverse client, be it Mastodon or any of the others, can all subscribe to this. It goes with Vivaldi, the browser, but it's a completely independent instance of the Fediverse client, so it works with any other Fediverse client like Mastodon Social or whatever. Talking of Mastodon Social, however, that is where I'm now going back and just having a look at. So this is where I actually post under MetaWorld, Mastodon Social, news programs, basically television programs of the week that are to do with our virtual worlds, etc. Brett Leonard is rather interesting. He was behind the original movie, The Lawnmower Man, and a company called Ubiquity VX, Virtual Effects. So kind of interesting. Not your run-of-the-mill gamer edition. Definitely looking at a bit of early history there. Lawnmower Man was early 90s, I believe, but
It's a while back. Yeah.
the guy's still around. Um, okay, literally 2 days ago, I get a name check on this one as well. This is Philip Rosedale again. He's interviewed by another friend of mine, Dave Orban, who I met. He's from Italy, but I've met him in London a few times. And he was interviewing Philip on random sort of things, including we had quite a long bit on Fair Share and the new things he's doing. So if you follow this, all all the stuff Philip is doing, a good interview there. The VR download, I've never heard of this program before. Have you heard of it, James?
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
I'm an avid viewer. Yeah.
very good. So, you're an avid viewer. Tell us all about it this week.
Oh, it was a good long show, and it was uh, lots of discussion about the Apple spatial environment, and especially just Apple's going to have a tremendous advantage bringing in the whole iOS infrastructure into their headset, and
Yeah.
that's mighty exciting. And if it's at all comfortable to wear, although that's still a contention, but it's exciting.
It's still cheaper than a high-end Mac. And when you think of it as
Yeah,
a
yeah,
computer that doesn't need a monitor or anything, it's the price probably is not that high. It just
right,
seems
right.
high on its own. And of course, The Vision Pro, I mean, we now know why they call it the Vision Pro is because they are working on glasses which will be Vision Light, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they've gone with the heaviest weight thing first, which may, when you think about it, that's what Oculus did. They went with an almighty sort of mega helmet and worked their way down to other things from there,
Mm. I
sort
think
of.
they did what they
Um,
could
yeah,
with the technology at the time. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so I'm going to show that. So they got neat little facial animations, these two. But as I say, they don't on the show itself. They don't get to show those wonderful new legs. You had to look at my still picture for that. Right, moving on down. Project Brief. Oh, right, this is interesting. It has to do with, I think actually it's Second Life here. But basically, it's a project for Games for Change, I think, anyway. Looking at sorry, PTSD, I can never get that right, in Ukraine. I'm going to actually quickly flip it here. Yeah, it's the Games for Change logo there. Um, Basically, they're just talking about the project, but yeah, I mean, you get to see um, there's a whole bit of it that's in the virtual world there. No, it's not Second Life; it's another one they're using. But anyway, it's yeah. There were many things from the virtual Games for Change conference that I've been posting,
Mm.
but that one has a particular interest because it's good stuff as far as the real world's concerned. Okay, moving down to the one before that. This was a panel, um, again from Games to Change. This was a couple of weeks ago, but they've only posted some of these extra videos now. Playing support, empowering gamers to learn about sexual harassment, basically. So it's a panel that is quite a topical thing in the gaming world, particularly the male-dominated and often sexist attitude to women in gaming. Um, but well, sad that such that the world is still that way. But never mind. Discussing, the situation and possible solutions, though. Really, right. Okay. This was big XR news from. Did lead 14th of night. Okay, on Nvidia, Magic Leap, etc., etc. This is XR News, the site we've been visiting a couple of times. They actually have a broadcast this week. That chap Desmond, I think his name is the one who hosts it. Right, back. Yeah, Tuesday, still a few more. An edition of the VR Crewcast, Calm Before the Storm for VR. Asking I think that was the reaction to the article about the what was it?
About
The
Unity. Unity.
no, no, no,
Oh,
not
okay.
the curve of adoption people thing.
Oh, oh, the Gartner group. Okay.
Yeah, I can't. I've gone blank actually. Too much
The hype
coffee.
cycle. Yep.
Hypothetical business, yeah. Okay, before that on Monday, Dane Johnson talking about NVIDIA and they're creating the building blocks of the metaverse. And again, Demond, not Desmond, is the host on that one. And again on Monday, virtual paradise to virtual ghost town.
Oh.
That's not as down on Second Life as you might think. It's actually a rather interesting sort of video. They've obviously totted up the front screen. They know full well it's not a virtual ghost town. They actually find out it's 10 minutes, and
Okay.
I've actually got this offline as well. I was going to show it, but no time. But it's looking at the business side of it, and sort of so their references to ghost town and things is probably more of a business reaction, but that doesn't stop them raving about the world as generally. And once again, I noticed that we didn't get a Charlie Fink in time video wise this week, did we?
Mm-hmm. No.
But nevertheless, if you follow my feed here, it will appear in due course, unless he's retired it. Who knows what they do? So that's about it. What am I doing on time here?
Doing great. Yep.
We're not doing too bad. It just says it pays to
40,
rush.
45 minutes. Yeah.
It pays to rush. Okay, well let's see if we've got anything. Um, I'm not going to play that. This is 5 minutes, right? This again is about Second Life, but it's the title of this video is called Second Life's 20th birthday, which is past now.
Yeah.
Reminds us that the world reminds the world the metaverse can work. Yeah, I'm gonna play it.
Okay.
Is turning 20 years old, which means the forerunner to what we now call a metaverse is almost old enough to drink, in America anyway. But should it be celebrating? Second Life.
Oh, so I haven't got much. I can't get any
Very
decent volume
quiet.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was just I trying to up the volume, but I couldn't.
Years old, which means the
Oh, hang
forerunner
on.
to what we now call
Ah,
a metaverse is almost old enough to drink, in America anyway. But should it be celebrating? Second Life pioneered concepts in e-commerce, social media, virtual live events, even corporate meeting spaces, years before they became mainstream ideas. Yet it's predominantly only spoken of in the past tense. Make no mistake, Second Life is alive and well. Well, it's alive. It's worth asking how. The resources of Sony and Google and Meta have failed to help them capture public interest in their would-be metaverses. For the youngsters among you, think of Second Life as the quadruple-headed love child of TikTok, Minecraft, Roblox, and maybe even the NFT craze, but in 2003. Sort of a game, kind of a social network, partly a place to run a business, Second Life was a sprawling digital world of near infinite space and possibility, where virtual land changed hands for real money and came with legal ownership rights for the individuals holding the deeds. And it was an inclusive space, welcoming individuals dealing with issues of identity, gender, and sexuality. Want to live as an anthropomorphized cat? Not a problem. Here's a tail and some ears and a friend who's also a cat person. It made money from ground rent leased to in-game entrepreneurs who in turn made real-world livings developing virtual property, sometimes for big-name businesses. Calvin Klein, for instance, launched a virtual promotion for a new smell after hiring a brand consultancy that helped companies move into Second Life. And there was no shortage of others. By the mid-2000s, Adidas, Walmart, Intel, Dell, Wells Fargo, Reuters, and countless others were using virtual spaces they bought or built for employee training, customer service, or marketing. Clothing stores sold virtual outfits for in-game avatars to wear, and at one point, thousands of IBM employees routinely held team meetings in its Second Life campus. All the person needed was a computer and an internet connection. Millions joined in, particularly after Second Life made an appearance in an episode of The Office, thanks to vegetable botherer Dwight Schrute. We're still only in 2007, remember? Competitors lined up, but most failed. Google created Lively in 2008, with press at the time calling it a Second Life killer. No one cared though, and Google killed it within a few months. PlayStation Home launched that same year and saw a few million players jump into its high-definition virtual apartments and malls. But Sony said in 2014 it'd be evicting remaining tenants and shutting it down too. Now, tech companies love trying to change the way we communicate online, but attempts to do so using 3D virtual worlds have always been clunky proprietary affairs with too few interested participants to justify any long-term investment. And that's still the case today, I feel. Meta in particular is desperately trying to persuade people to believe the metaverse, that is to say, its proprietary virtual world, is the future. But it's not going super well. And if the world's biggest, richest social media company can't make us care, can anyone? Roblox comes closest, I think. It targeted younger mobile-first users wanting to hang out in virtual worlds geared towards fun, not a facsimile of reality. Many of those kids are now becoming adults, and Roblox recently said it'd start letting mature content exist in its world to keep them playing and paying. Second Life never caught the mobile bug and stuck resolutely to desktop computers. Its interface is complex and unwelcoming by modern standards. But this steadfast adherence to old-school tech probably helped it. It's niche but uniquely appealing to sustain itself. Even today, developer Linden Research says the world's in-game GDP is in excess of $500 million. So what Second Life's been doing right this past 2 decades is just making sure its unique audience gets the weird, massive, unpredictable virtual world nobody else really wants to make. Whether that's enough to keep it alive and fend off things like Roblox for another 20 years will depend on the next generation of virtual world seekers wanting to get involved. Is that you? You can let me know in the comments. You can also let me know in Second Life if you want, but bear in mind, I only respond to people dressed as animals, ideally with ears and a tail. Just my thing. I'm Nate Langston, and I've been technically speaking. Meow.
Meow.
Meow. Okay, I go. I'm pausing it there. I don't know what the next 20 seconds is. Probably some trailer. Right. It's quite funny, actually,
Yeah.
some of the comments there. And as you say, it's not dissing Second Life at all. It's rounding up at the end there. You know, can it go for another 20 years? It's stayed alive because of what it is, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than the new players. Right. What have I got here? This is 5 minutes, and that is two 5 minute things. Right, Magic Leap's. Okay, Magic Leap's CEO basically quickly talking.
Joining us is Magic Leap CEO Peggy Johnson. Peggy, welcome. So, assuming this category takes off eventually, how do you end up being Android, not BlackBerry?
Wow, that's a great question. First of all, I think it's not a zero-sum game at all. Just like in the early days of mobile phone, you're going to see a lot of players in there, and you'll see people focusing on certain parts of it. Apple's focusing on consumer, Magic Leap's focusing on enterprise, and these devices will tune to the specific application or use case.
It's been remarkable, though, in the smartphone game, how Apple has made a lot more money with its App Store, a lot more margin on its phones, and practically nobody else except Samsung makes any money. It's kind of similar to the PC market. So you came out with the Magic Leap 2 about a year ago at $3,300. Apple's coming in with its Vision Pro at $3,500 early next year. How much do you have to pivot and adjust based on that big new competitor?
Actually, all boats are rising. With Apple coming in, we're going to see more developers who understand this medium, who can code in the 3D imagery that's needed for augmented reality and seeing actual images in 3D volumetric form. So that's a great thing for us already in the space.
Okay, but can you still sell that for $3,300?
We can. In fact, we can sell it for enterprise use cases who are saving money with this device. For instance, training, there's been an 80% reduction from several of our users in training costs. It's faster, it's more efficient. You actually learn better when you can see things in 3D versus manuals on a table.
Right. I'm going to pause there because don't want to play the whole thing. If you want to find out more, you can look up CNBC's site on the web, and no doubt you can find this. So if I think even people in Britain can actually find that.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. But interesting what she's saying there, because really when it comes to the price point, Magic Leap is really the only thing that has been traditionally, well, it predates the Apple thing, of course, but you know, Magic Leap has actually been at the similar price point all along. And the new one, of course, is much better than the old one, and it's enterprise only, or the pitch is enterprise only. So there's commonalities there, as she was actually saying. And okay, so the one other thing, I did mention Meta Traversal having their portal crawl. And right, this I'm not going to play all 5 minutes, but we've actually got about 5 minutes left. So this is a fairly old clip.
Julie, you have been fantastic at helping us with this sense making on this. So
I'm trying. There's so much that was said, and I'll just take a couple minutes just to kind of, I'm going to zoom in here to my screen, taking some notes and pulling out, first we had the conversation with Amy and Maria, Rika, Nico, and Cynthia talking about business use cases, and just pulling out, like what's needed in their world that will help them.
Okay, I'm scrolling along.
The identity, being
Oh, yeah.
and oh my gosh, their audience has changed. Now they have to change their whole.
Okay, it looks like we're going to have
It,
this
it
more or less
changed
stuck with the same
UX,
graphic, but never mind.
data permissions and data privacy, how identities are managed. Obviously, from the standard side, there were great mentions today of how to participate on extensions to the GLTF spec, but also in things like VRM, so that potentially our avatars can move fluidly with us. Obviously, we have a long way to go. And Tony made some great points about, it's going to take us the decade. We're not going to get there overnight.
Okay, well, our friend Eva there discussing what this was actually last year's
Oh,
metaverse event, and that was them reviewing what had been going on there. So the one that's coming up in a couple of weeks, the Portal Crawl, as it were, will be a new event, and possibly we'll get a more updated clip discussing what happened there. It's very difficult because it's like we're involved with Hypergrid Safari. And there's a limit to what you can do to come on screen and say, "Oh, it was a good safari, and we went there, and that's it." Nothing beats actually going on it. So this is a similar sort of thing there. Anyway, we have had enough of all this. I did actually get these clips in at the last minute. I wasn't expecting to, so
okay.
I hope you enjoyed them. I also had to cut them short because the last thing I want is somebody censoring our news program again, and I have to go and edit it.
We haven't had that for a while, thankfully.
Yeah, and oddly enough, it wasn't from the usual culprits. It was
Right,
something
right.
stupid, wasn't it?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, well, if you are staying with this channel, in about half an hour, we actually have another program here called the In World Review, where we look at arts and destinations and things on the hypergrid. The hypergrid is actually a network or a protocol, as it were, that connects lots and lots of grids that are actually authored using variants of the Open Simulator software, and they all connect together so you can actually jump between them. So if you imagine you've got 1,000 miniature Second Lives, but they're actually probably as big as Second Life if you had them all together, but a very different sort of open source, sort of a cutting edge type of experience. So I think we're going to be looking at a role playing region today, but
Yep.
do join us if you can for that. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed the news. My thanks to James here, of course, and yeah, thank you, James. And we will be back same time, same place next week, I think, barring hiccups or COVIDs. If I come back in a mask next week, you'll know what happened. I caught the lurgy.
Right.
I caught the lurgy. Anyway, do stay safe, everybody. Hope we were helpful this week, and we will see you again next week. And for now, we're out of here.